Alright everyone, welcome along Training Tuesday. So, one of the things that we've been looking at was, well, alright, I'll be honest, my plans have been kind of scuppered, blown out of the water by Microsoft. Now, this has happened to me a few times in the times I've been working with Power BI, and it's always a positive if I'm honest, but man, does it annoy you. On the plus side, I haven't just released a video and then found it was like a waste of time. What happened is last Thursday, so a week or so ago now, for you, Microsoft released a new update to Power BI, okay, including field parameters. Okay, you'll find tons of videos on them around the internet at the minute. So I'll do a little bit of a demo today just to kind of go through this is where we're going with it. Right, but I had plans to do disconnected tables today. And honestly, from what I can tell with the field parameters, I don't think that there's much of a need for the disconnected table stuff like there used to be. So I was going to cover it. I've got some other videos on disconnected tables and I'll put a link to them down below, right? Disconnected tables, they're worth knowing about. It's a table you use to support analysis. But as you can now do a lot of that stuff with field parameters, or you can set stuff up in a very similar way or better way almost, you kind of, I don't know. So we'll have a look. Field parameters, bearing in mind it's still very early days, first release of them, so expect them to change, improve and get better. One of the things I'm trying to do at the minute with them that was actually demoed by Microsoft, I can't work it out. So I'm going to really keep working through, because if like getting that piece done is a game changer. If we can figure that last bit out, right, they're awesome, they're amazing, job done, big tick, right? But while I can't figure that one out yet, bit of an issue. So let's cut an hour into Power BI desktop this time, I think, right? And have a look, see what these field parameters are, see the context that I was talking about using them for. Yeah? Champion. Alright, so here we are, Power BI desktop, like everyone is used to. Okay, this is the report that we're talking about. Now, if you remember, what I've done here is I've got a slicer just to make it easier to help you pick the area that you want to look at. Okay, so you can pick and say, we want to look at northeast, we'll look at the northwest. Right, now, even this was a bit of an interim. Right, so let me remove that. Okay, because one of the things we were looking at doing, or that was coming with Microsoft, was drag select. So now you can like drag select an area, okay, which kind of suggests, well, you know, do I need a region slicer? Because I might turn around and say, oh, well, if we zoom in here, we've got this small group of them here. What's the average? And we get all the information that we want out of it here, and we can see at the local authority level or at the business types level. So I was thinking, right, how do we make this better? What can we do with this to really improve and emphasize what's going on? So wouldn't it be nice if we can add some value here, right? And it was kind of reshuffling this whole left side of the, or right side of the report was kind of going to happen. And I haven't fully got my mind around how best to do it, I'll be honest, okay? Because we've got here where it becomes a long scroll bar. I don't like scroll bars in my visuals, right? So it's kind of, what should we do? So there's an option here that we've got, right? And now we've got these what if parameters, right? What we can do is we can turn around and we can use those with the fields, and we can start to do things. So what you first have to do is in your options and settings and your preview features, there's still down as a preview feature, so remember, preview feature, you need to make sure field parameters is ticked, okay? So this is one of the things I was saying. It's the first release of it, so it's a lot's going to change over the coming weeks. We'll come back to this, coming months, and I'm sure we're going to do more work with this. But at this point, right, I think it's going to supersede disconnected tables, even potentially calculation groups are going to be either redeveloped or folded into this. But yeah, we'll carry on. So once you've enabled it and restarted Power BI, under your modeling, So once you've enabled it and restarted Power BI, under your modeling, you've got new parameters, and you'll see you've got numeric range or fields. You can pick fields, and you've then got two options. Now, you could build this, and we could pick, say, our average hygiene and the business count, or businesses, okay? And we're going to call this measures, okay? I'm going to say let's not add a slice to the page of this one, right? And create it, okay? Or the other option is we can create, we'll go back to modeling, new parameters, fields. We can create this time, let's pick a few things. So what I was thinking of doing was, how about if we start with region, local authority, and then we could also go and add in business type, okay? And we'll add the slicer to the page this time. So what I was thinking of doing, okay, is a bit of a proof of concept kind of thing, is let's change this. So if we take businesses by type away, for example, we've just got the businesses by local authority in. And again, see, now you're starting to understand why I was thinking, well, we can resize this, work out what it is we want to do. What we can do is, where we've got the x-axis at the moment showing us local authority, we can change that. So if we use parameter as my x-axis, right, we can see if I choose local authority, it's going to be local authority. If I choose region, it becomes region, business type, okay? So all of a sudden, I could replace this slicer here with this, change it to a drop down, right? Put that there, rename it to say, oh, it's the field, isn't it? So rename it to chart type, right? Or chart axis would do, wouldn't it? Right, and we can then enforce single select, can't we? So we'll go there. Single select is on, right? So you have to have something picked. So it'd say, oh, local authority, oh, business type, right? And you can start to pull those together, right? Now, the original version that we had is better in some ways because it allows you to do, to cross filter and analyze a little bit more. But this works very well for a lot of situations and scenarios that you've got. And there's no reason why you wouldn't have your core charts available, or you could do other things with them. But I wanted to show you that. The last thing, again, one thing to remember, is this writes these as DAX, okay? Now, it's not as simple as you can just manually write all this and have it work. There's some other settings that go in behind the scenes. But what you can do is update these. Now, because these are measures in here, if you rename or update them in Power BI Desktop, it will update them in here. So that's fine. If you renamed region to something else for whatever reason, it would do it. But you might want to say, well, we've got business type. I want to put a space in there for that, okay? Because that's the label side of it. And you'll now see, come back here, business type as business type. So you can use that to really help sort through your scenarios that you've got going on. Again, I'd expect there to be some kind of parameterization or options coming through for there as well. But who knows? So in theory, what you could do, if you think this through, you think, hang on, well, what's the use cases for this? Okay, I could start to build up lots of report content. And one of the things that I've had to do recently even is enable this setting here for people so that people can customize the report view. Okay, so where you build report content out and people go, well, I want it slightly different, I want it this way. So you kind of give them the ability to customize it. And this is one of those that's kind of a bit of a double-edged sword. Now, being able to piece together report content using drop downs and building it that way is very useful. So if I was to bring in the measures that we built, remember before here, so we've got these two. If we set this up as a slicer, And then below here, we could put in, say, a line chart. And let's pick a line chart. There we go. And we'll put parameters in as the x-axis. And then we've got this, and let's put this in as the y. Okay. So all of a sudden, you could now go back here and enforce a single select value here. Okay, so slicer settings, selection, enforce single. Okay, so what do you want to see? Do we want to see this or do you want to see that? Right? It becomes much simpler to do. But again, one thing that you need to remember is if we remove the single select slicer here, okay, and we have both of them, I want to hover over, let me see if we can get, let's view this as a table. Show the table. Because one thing that you need to be aware of, right, is here, okay? So there was an option, there is an option to use calculation groups to pull these kind of things through, but it doesn't work in the same way. You lose number formatting. You have one number format for all the numbers that you've got. Here, the number formatting is retained. So we've got this capability here. So we're already actually starting to build the capability where we could have this full, we could build this whole table in theory using it. The problem is that this, because you're using two axes, you wouldn't be able to do it. They'd have to be on the same axes, which wouldn't make sense for this. So what do you reckon then? Honestly, I mean, these are going to make a huge difference to the whole way that report content is built and consumed. I mean, already looking at that, I could see that we could start to piece together a parameter set that's going to allow us to do it, in this case, a mixing and matching, where at the moment, potentially it's my mind that we're limited to, is it just fields versus measures? Can you put the whole thing together and then have, this is a table, unselect the ones you don't want? I'm going to do some experimentation on that as we go. But I think there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. And there's a lot of capability there. The DAX statements, for all you can't create from scratch, like a new table, I don't think. I might check. I mean, certainly the earlier videos I saw said, oh, you can't just do it. It is possible to go in and quickly add or update them though. So you can go through, add them in. It's a fairly simple format. So they have it's this name of parameter that they've got. So you give it the label first, so open brackets, label, name of, and then the DAX measure or the column that you're going to use, and then the order that it will have. So close brackets, comma, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's all fairly simplistic, and then all wrapped around in the curly brackets for a list. So you can kind of see where they're going with it, but I think it's not, there's something hidden behind the scenes in Tabular Editor. I think you need to have a look and see what's happening there. But it's nice to have that feature fully embedded in Power BI Desktop finally. For calculation groups, you still have to use a third-party editor that not all businesses are comfortable in allowing you to use. So I've been working with clients where to get things like DAX Studio even has been like an uphill battle. Even you're going, look, it's going to save you a fortune versus me or the team taking measures out, copying everything out and produce all the documentation. DAX Studio, VPAX editor, blah, 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 documentation, right? Your model's documented. There's not much you're going to add to it. The facts are all there. So having it native is a massive, massive change. So it's a huge feature. We're going to keep watching it. I'm annoyed it's kind of thrown things out for me today. If you really want to look at disconnected tables, there's a video down below. Don't forget, if you're enjoying the content, like, support us, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you think. Stay safe. Have a great week. Ta-da.